All right, sounds good.
Well, hello, sports fans and soccer fans. This is Randy McKee with Soccer 605, and we are live once again with the September 7th version of the boys wrap-up show. We've had a tremendous week of soccer here in South Dakota and high school soccer, and we're going to have a couple of guests. You may see on the bottom of the screen there we have Jacob Meyer, the head coach at the Rapid City Stevens boys. Jacob, we want to thank you for being with us today.
Hey, thank you for the invitation.
And, you know, what I'd like to do, Chris Derry's on the road right now, and so he's not going to be joining us. Hopefully we'll get Kayla Braffet, the head coach at Harrisburg boys here in with us a little bit. But let me first just kind of do a rundown of what we saw this week. And then we're going to bring Jacob in and have him talk about his team a little bit and what he sees coming out in the future. So, you know, the main part of this week, as we, you know, put on the blog last week, was that it was kind of a week of reckoning for quite a few teams. And, you know, one of those teams that we talked about, you know, really having to make a statement was Sioux Falls O'Gorman. And, you know, they really stepped up against you know, last week and had a great game. Coming from behind to tie Sioux Falls Roosevelt 2-2. Just a fantastic performance. They'll be having Harrisburg come in this week, and we'll see what Harrisburg bring, because they had a real, very physical, very tough game against Watertown yesterday. Ended up winning 1-0 basically on an own goal deflection on a corner kick. So that was a very even game, a very, very tough game. Kind of a crossover game this week that we have coming up. We'll be seeing Sioux Falls Christian play Sioux Falls Roosevelt. And, you know, I'll tell you what, I've seen Sioux Falls Christian play several times. They really took it to AA Brandon Saturday. And I think Saturday they allowed their first goal of the season. I think they're in there right now at about 60 goals scored before they allowed their first goal. So they're really on a roll. We'll see what happens in the face of that stiff competition, though, against Roosevelt. Going down the line here, O'Gorman had a great game against Brandon Valley. They won 4-0. Sioux Falls Lincoln really took it to Brookings, 5-0 there. Washington beat Watertown, and of course they had a real tough game against Brandon earlier and lost that game 2-1. Came back strong against Watertown on Thursday. Did a real nice job there, winning 6-1. Spearfish just keeps plugging along, winning games. But they let Huron tie them Friday, and you know, Huron's got a much better team than a lot of people think they're going to have, but they're a dangerous team, and they just keep getting better as the season goes along. But Spearfish is kind of in a situation out there where the only real stiff competition they're going to have, other than what travels to see them, are going to be Rapid City Stevens and Rapid City Central. And so we'll just have to see how that affects them during the rest of the season. You know, one of the big games that we thought would really be an interesting game to watch was Rapid City Stevens traveling into Pierre. And, you know, Stevens have really been doing a wonderful job across the board. And, you know, they rolled into Pierre, took on a team that thought they could be competitive, but it turned out quite a bit different than that. You know, I'm going to introduce you now, Coach Jacob Meyer. And before we talk about this game, I know, you know, you went to school at Mary, had a great soccer career there, but you're pretty new, I think, to the South Dakota soccer scene. So why don't you tell us a little bit about where you come from and what kind of soccer you play, and give us a little bit about your philosophy.
Well, I grew up not too far from Rapid. I grew up in Gillette. And after that, like you stated, I went to the University of Mary, and I was there for 4 years, redshirted a year, and then played my 4 actually. And during my time there, I was youth coach with Dakota United under Dave Cook, who was also my head coach, and I got to see a lot of different coaching philosophies and methods, especially with the new coaches and assistant coaches over my time coming in and bringing new stuff to the table, and kind of taken what I like and things I don't like and kind of made my own little method of soccer and everything. So hired down here in Rapid City as a PE teacher, and along the way just snagged a head coaching job and loving every bit of it. So.
You and I have something in common we probably never even knew, but both of us being, Stevens Raiders boys coaches, and I always really liked the quality of the players that we got there. Just having Rushmore Soccer Club being the main feeder program for that high school program really gives us access to a lot of good players, and I'm sure the same thing's happening with you, even and you also even have more clubs involved than we had back when I coached.
Absolutely. I mean, the talent in this community is awesome, and the future looks bright for Rapid City in general for soccer.
So we saw you, opening weekend. We got the video of the game. You and Lincoln had a matchup of last year's state championship game at AA. It looked to me at times that you were probably the better team in that game. I was really impressed. Of course, you got a couple kids there. Well, not a couple kids. You got a lot of pretty special kids, but I was really surprised with the amount of quality you lost on defense to graduation last night, that you replaced that with some really good guys.
Absolutely. Lincoln was a great team. It was a great game, very fun. It was. What an opener for sure, finding out, after tryouts that we're starting off with the state champs, the rematch like you just stated. But defensively, bringing in new players and with a new coach, we have players playing in different positions that they haven't before, and I see different things that this team hasn't am not accustomed to. So those changes, I think I've earned their trust and got them buying into the philosophy and program, and it's working out great. I've got Nunez back there. He's a great sophomore, just very, very talented, very technical, can see the field like nobody else. And I've got big KJ Watson back there, a junior, basketball star as well. His big presence there really disrupted the Lincoln Lincoln forwards, and I can continue to switch out my outside backs. Usually I have Tyler Palicki out there, and he's a great contributor to our possession style soccer. So as well as Brandon Cruz.
Well, along with those guys, I really wasn't familiar. You lost a very good keeper in Ben Nolting last year, and I thought your keeper during that game, took some pretty good heat and started proving up, and apparently, he's done a pretty good job for you since then as well.
Yep. Ashton Cooley is a great player, a tremendous worker on and off the field. We trust him, and he trusts us, and we're working every day to getting him to be the best keeper he can be. And everyone on the field makes mistakes, and sometimes when you're a goalie, it's a bit more of a traumatic effect. But he picks his head up and he keeps going, and we love him for it.
And then up in the midfield, I'm familiar with several of your guys. I had Brennan Lytle, Derek Beaumont were both in my '96 boys ODP team way back then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and got a great love for those two guys. They're both. I think Derek could be one of the smartest soccer brains in South Dakota, and Brennan, you can't beat his work up top. The guy's just a fearless, tireless worker.
Absolutely, those two, they're fun on and off the field. Their characters really bring enjoyment to coaching and everything. And like you said, that big presence of Lido up front is just huge. We wouldn't be the same team without him. And Derek's field vision and distribution is amazing for our program and our team.
And one thing you'll never lose a trash talking contest when Derek's on the field because he can smart aleck off with the best of it, man.
Oh yeah, but he steps up when we need to. This last weekend he had a goal and assist against Pierre and really brought that game. It started us going, and the rest of the teammates followed his role and continued to punch away a couple more goals.
So while we're talking about Pierre, why don't you give us the story of that game? I know up to this point, Pierre's been scoring some goals. They've been really difficult to score on, but they didn't do either of those against you Friday. And Derry was there. He was going to give us a game report, but was the game indicative of the score, or was it a closer game than
that? Pierre was a really good team. They right away were a threat, especially with their big forward. I believe that was Cody Kuehl,
Cody Kuehl.
Yep, number 9. His presence up there was causing us some problems, and they have a great coach, from what I've heard, successful programs and with Brad Cruz and everything. So they were very quick on counters. They like to sit back and wait for our dispossession or a mistake on our part and attack. And their defense was very organized, but with us putting a man right in front of their forward and disrupting that connection to their target player and being able to, we kind of changed our formation a little bit, and we're able to just possess that ball. That second half, we like to counter passes, and I think we had 235 passes just in that second half. So the possession was all on our attacking half.
Wow. So did they, get to a point where your keeper had to make any good saves or anything, or did you like to, spend most of the time in their half, or did they after you got Cody figured out, did they get dangerous again after
that? In the first half, they had we had to have Ashton pull off a couple great saves. Second half, they, I think, had a couple shots as well. But for that second half, the majority of the ball was just on that attacking half, with Noah Storm right there in the center, kind of taking over. We threw Rick out wide and kind of went into 4-1-3-2 and just sprayed the ball from width to width and could get it to the corners, get some through balls to those outside mids, and really get the attacking game going on.
We were expecting probably a little bit more out of here, but that, I guess, is pretty indicative of what kind of team you have. The second game of the weekend, Saturday, as you traveled to Aberdeen, which I'm sure you found out, Aberdeen's not a very fun place to play soccer for a lot of different reasons. But I was honestly, based on what I'd seen Aberdeen doing up to this point, honestly pretty surprised that they got you there even on their own turf.
Aberdeen's like you said, it's a tough place to play, and their team they brought their A game and were very tough to play against. As well as turf, their style of play really complemented this and the quick passes and flicks that we weren't accustomed to playing on grass, that which most of the time die and everything. So that caught us off guard. The speed of play with the ball, it caught me by surprise as well. We weren't able to pass the ball like we normally did, and first half was kind of back and forth, and 0-0. Second half, they brought it to us in the first 5 minutes. We talked about the changes that need, and they weren't at the ball to the corner, got across, and I believe it was deflected in by one of our players. And 30 seconds later, like a flip of a switch, we turned around, followed through with the game plan, and got a shot on goal that almost went in the back of the net. So it was kind of the story of the game for us to do everything right, just couldn't put in the back of the net.
Well, some days, like they say, some days you eat the bear, and some days the bear eats you. And sometimes at this juncture of the season, especially if you have a good record, the goal is to make the final 8 and then have 3 good games. But sometimes you can take plenty away from a loss just as well as a win. And I just want to mention, Jacob, just to break in here, we finally got joined up with Coach Kayla Braffet, the head coach over at Harrisburg. Kayla, welcome to the show. And we're talking with Coach Meyer a little bit about Stevens, and you're welcome to hop in here anytime you want. And we'll finish this up, and then we'll get on over to Harrisburg if that's fine with you.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, Jacob, you have coming up Tuesday, but you can throw the records out the window. You can throw everything out the window. It's the big Stevens Central game. I've been coach at many of those, and like I said, you can throw everything out the window because that just is how that game works.
And being from a town that only had one high school, I'm starting to pick up the rivalry that occurs between the Cobblers and the Raiders. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be my first experience. I've heard the crowd is a great one to be a part of, and I'm very excited for it, actually. So.
Well, you'll have a blast, and you'll be able to see Rapid City Central at their best against you, and so anyway, our wish is for the best of luck to you and to our good friend Joe Sobrowski and his team over there at Central. And I guess we'll be checking in on the Twitterverse to see how you guys did. So, Jacob, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. You're free to stick around, and when we kind of close things up, maybe have a little bit more to say. We're going to visit with Coach Rafett now, and you can hang out if you want, or you can go on with your day. But we really do appreciate visiting with you today.
All right, I'm going to head out, so I have other things to do, get ready for school tomorrow and everything. So I appreciate it and enjoyed it.
Good luck Tuesday.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye.
And now on to Coach Kayla Braffet with the Harrisburg Tigers. Kayla, I got to see you a couple times yesterday because we were both at the Harrisburg Stadium all day long with soccer and with football last night. I was there with the very first deal with Football 605, and you were there visibly keeping track of the teams. But let's get over to soccer. Because we talk, and I got a lot of friends at Harrisburg, and from my perspective, all the talk that everybody is talking about from Harrisburg that I'm talking to is being really impressed with the way you're handling that team. And I think the one thing I'm hearing very consistently is that there is absolutely no question who the boss is. When you're running around with a bunch of teenage boys, that's a really important critical factor. So, how are you finding that? This is your first high school boys assignment, I guess, and how are you finding that?
Goodness, I don't know, but luckily for me, they're just an awesome set of guys, and they're so respectful, and they love the game, and they really just want to learn. And I think they know I can provide them that with that learning opportunity. And so I definitely think just that respect level and me having such a knowledge of the sport, they're definitely taking advantage of it. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
That's one thing I think that, especially for a younger coach, having had the kind of career at the D1 level that you had brings a lot of credibility. I call it street cred, and that's really what it is. And I don't care who you're coaching. If you got that good kind of credibility, you're going to see a lot more respect and a lot better following. And I think that could be a lot. But I think when we talked yesterday, you said you got to hang out a little bit this summer around the team, and that helped to have them know you a little bit before the season started too.
Yeah, that definitely helped out a lot. I think just my presence at those open fields was huge to them. I think they really just want someone that's there consistently, and they know that they're going to get that with me. So it worked out really well for me.
The guys are playing good. I mean, you had a real close game with Lincoln Tuesday night when we lost by a goal to them, and that's really kind of an accomplishment in itself. You're going to, I think, get to see O'Gorman this week, and probably have a very good chance against them. The thing that really, I guess, that impresses me about your team is that you've got everything from a freshman who you rely a lot on to a couple, real senior players who have a lot of experience. But I mean, you've got guys all over the place in terms of experience, but somehow or other they seem to be very competitive.
Yeah, luckily, they've just really stepped it up, I think, through the summer and just this season. I think they see the potential in themselves finally. And I mean, they're definitely pushing themselves in practice every day, and it's been perfect. It's just creating that competitive atmosphere that, every team wants to have. So it's awesome that they're able to compete with one another so often.
So, you got a couple, 2 or 3 really important, kind of senior leaders. And then, you've got that freshman, Tarek Noor, who, I think the kid has the potential to really be a phenom. They're just something, where they just have an innate sense of soccer. And Tarek is one of those guys. But your team yesterday against Watertown, were in a very physical, kind of got chippy, and they just maintained their composure throughout.
Yeah, they did to an extent. They did. I thought they did well, and emotions always run high, especially with these guys when they just love the sport so much. And so, definitely Tarek has always come through with us, and just being there on that attacking end and always having that attacking pressure. And really Aaron Hansen and Evan Kelly, they really take control in that center midfield, and Brett Dietz for sure, and John Overson on that back line. Those guys, they just really are starting to learn to read the game so well, and it's making the game so much fun to watch.
Your goalkeeper was kind of thrust into kind of a situation probably that neither of you would have had him do willingly, but it is what it is, and I thought he really did a very nice job yesterday as well.
Yeah, no, AJ is a new goalie, so obviously when he's learning right now, it's leaps and bounds, and so every game for him is an improvement. And I've been really happy with what he's produced for us so far, and obviously it's unfortunate what happened with our other goalie, but I'm super excited about AJ. He's been doing really well, and I mean, he's only going to get better throughout the season.
Do you guys have a scenario there, or have enough coaching personnel to do specific keeper training, or does he have to just get in there and kind of be with the team, or how do you accomplish that?
We do a little keeper stuff. I know some minimal activities, and just through talking to my college coaches and just what I've seen with practice. So we've done that a little bit, but a lot of times, on AJ plays JV on the field, and then he plays varsity goal. So he's always getting a good mixture of the both, or of the two.
So you got O'Gorman coming up Tuesday at their home field, and then you have to travel down to Yankton Thursday. What do you know about those two teams that you're going to have to beware of or be able to take advantage of?
Yeah, well, I know our boys are excited to play, mainly just because of the goalkeeper. That was our goalie last year, so I know they're excited just to see a familiar face. And O'Gorman always has a strong team, male and female, so they're going to be dominant. And then I know Yankton's done really well. They tied OG, and they're 3-1-1 right now. So I think right now it's definitely going to be a competitive and fun week for us.
Talking with Coach Brenner after their loss to Roosevelt the other night, we really thought that they might be give Roosevelt as much or more than they wanted. But Coach Brenner is talking about the issues with having a mixed age team. Sometimes you get some inconsistency, and that's kind of what they had Thursday. But they're always a difficult team to score on at home. They've always been really good about that. O'Gorman, they needed to make a statement last week, and by coming from behind and tying Roosevelt, I think they made that statement. Mm-hmm. So it looks to me like it's kind of time for your team to step up and make their statement on what they're going to finish out their season as.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, unfortunately, our game against Roosevelt got canceled and rescheduled. I know my guys were super pumped for that game, and so I know OG's going to be kind of just that rival, emotional feeling, and just because it's another inner city school, and so and especially with the keeper change, I know that they're really excited and pumped and just ready to show it, how hard they've been practicing.
So, one last question for you. I just wonder how if you have the ability, and if you still do, to, because I'm sure you have the ability, but I'm wondering if you ever use Coach Meyer as a resource to call up and say, hey, I'm having trouble doing this, so what do you got for me?
Oh, yeah. I just talked to Lang last week. I call him all the time. I call him and Brock pretty often, especially, during season when situations come up, or, we're struggling with, getting our formation down with those center mids. I always call him up, ask for his advice, and, see what tricks he has in his bag, because his bag is a lot bigger than mine.
Well, we all start with kind of an emptier bag, and I think you probably have a better advantage than a lot of players just because you've been coached, much of your career by very, very good coaches, and, there's a lot you can learn by osmosis. But, I'll tell you what, and you're doing exactly what I would hope to see a young coach who was a great player do, and that's step on there and be a coach instead of just being another player.
Yeah, sometimes I get to be a player too, but definitely not as. I've definitely taken the back seat, and I've let them kind of play the game out and figure out their own errors, just how I was taught to, and rather than always giving them the answer, let them figure things out, and I think that's helped them learn and actually remember the learning process a lot more.
Well, and I agree, and just watching them play the full match against Watertown yesterday. They really were doing a great job of solving some of the stuff that Watertown was putting at them. It was, Watertown has a good team. They got a lot of very good players. They are, another one of those teams that's really young and they're struggling through some inconsistency. But I mean, they bring it. They bring it physically, and they got a lot of speed, and they're tough-minded.
Yep, yeah, very very tough-minded. They were great. I mean, and it's just fun to watch those games once again. Just the competitive edge and it's just everyone going full out.
Well, you'll get to watch part of it because I just about had the all the highlights ready to upload on the channel. So anyway, we'll get those uploaded yet tonight. And Kayla, I really do appreciate you coming and spending some time with us on Hangout today. I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but I got to tell you, or I'm very happy to tell you that I'm really, really impressed with what you're doing there at Harrisburg. Very professional, and you're getting as much out of your bunch of guys, I think, as anybody could get out of them. So here at Soccer 605, we're very proud of you coming through the South Dakota College system and now being a coach and giving that to the kids. Can't get any better than that.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me. This was fun, new experiences for sure.
Well, now that we have you linked up, maybe we can get together again someday soon.
That'd be perfect.
Kayla, thanks a lot for joining us, and best of luck at O'Gorman and down at Yankton this week, and we'll be checking in on that, and good luck to all the teams.
All right, thank you, sir. I'll see you later.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, well, we had a couple fantastic young coaches who are, I guess in the case of Jacob, kind of new to Rapid City soccer and South Dakota soccer. With Kayla, she's been around quite a while, but a pretty new coach. She really is doing a wonderful job down at Harrisburg, and our soccer system is so much better for that. So let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen yet this week in AA. We got a couple real major rivalries going on. Of course, we've got the O'Gorman Harrisburg game. There's some irritation there over the keeper leaving, and it just always makes a better game. And of course, we're not saying anything other than it's going to make a good game. We got the Rapid City Central Stevens matchup, and that's always a tough game. We got Watertown hosting Brookings from just a few miles down the interstate. That's always a very competitive game. Another rivalry that's been going on forever. Pure Rigs travel to Aberdeen Central, and that's going to be another tough match. In one interesting game on Saturday, we see Sioux Falls, Washington traveling to Huron. And Washington started out last week not very well, losing to Brandon, and then they came back here really well against Watertown. So it's going to be interesting to see how Huron handle what Sioux Falls, Washington have. And then Rapid City Central and Spearfish play, and that'll be in Rapid City. That's always a very competitive match as well. So we got a lot of stuff happening in AA. And so let's switch over a little bit to A and kind of finish off what we started there. Talking about Sioux Falls Christian, Coach Velgersdijk has such a great bunch of guys there. He's got some young guys in there too, but his core senior leaders are really getting the job done there. And I think I mentioned they scored, almost 60 goals or maybe 60 goals before they allowed their first goal, and they've allowed only one goal so far this season. So that's speaking very highly of their team, and also of their senior keeper, Matt Scott, who is a real strong guy back there. It's going to really be interesting to see how they deal with Sioux Falls Roosevelt, and they travel to Yankton Trail to do that. That's going to be the Thursday night game. And and talking with several people around over the weekend, there's a lot of people who think Sioux Falls Christian could beat most of the AA schools. So I guess we'll see how they match up against possibly the strongest of the AA boys teams. We have Stevens and St. Thomas More, and St. Thomas More is obviously has had a very difficult season so far, but they won their game the other day, so I think they're going to be all right there. Another big matchup coming up Saturday is Sioux Falls Christian travel to Groton, and that's going to be kind of the clash of the Titans in A, because they both have just been steamrolling their opponents. Groton's only blemishes, of course, have been to AA schools, Aberdeen Central and Pierre. So that that's going to be a real tough week for them, taking on Roosevelt at Roosevelt's home field and Groton at Groton's home field. James Valley Christian, they just keep very consistently playing along, but we're going to be able to see them in action on Thursday night as Groton travels to James Valley, and that should be another real good match. James Valley Christian, Coach Whip has those guys just playing very consistent, very good quality soccer. They get behind the ball, and they defend well, they attack well. They've got 3 or 4 or 5 different guys who can score, so that's going to be a real interesting matchup as well. As far as A boys and AA boys, those are the games I think that are going to be the counters. We are going to, take a look at some of these local matchups, Harrisburg against O'Gorman, some of the Sioux Falls schools playing out, and just as this thing kind of shapes up going down the road, I think we're going to be able to see, have a better look after this coming weekend about where the teams are going to fit and what to expect there. So we're getting close to the end of the chain here, and I sure want to thank all you folks for checking in on the boys wrap up this week. We'll be back again next week, and hopefully we'll have Coach Derry with us. We'll have a couple more guest coaches for you. I thought it was really fantastic that Coach Meyer and Coach Braffet were able to join us today, and both of the kind of coaches that we love seeing coming on board in South Dakota. So as you can see, my email address there, Randy@Sports605, and just want to let you know that we are working on a sports network just for South Dakota, and you can see the logo there at the bottom of the screen. We've got 7 different sports that we're eventually going to be covering, and of course right now it's soccer season. We're moving into hockey and basketball pretty soon, and we're doing a little bit of football with Football 605 this year. So we're trying to switch everything over to Sports 605. So if you need to email me, you can email me at randy@sports605.com. And of course, if you want to email Carol, it's just carol@sports605.com. Final thank you to Home Federal Bank, who without their support, we wouldn't be able to be providing nearly the coverage that we are this year, and for kind of leading the way on major high quality sponsors to help bring more youth sports to you. And the biggest thank you of all, of course, is to our players and to our fans at Soccer 605 and High School Soccer 605. It's really a pleasure serving you. So until next week, have a safe and happy week, and hopefully you'll get to see some great soccer. We'll see you again during the week. And of course, if we're at a field, make sure and stop and say hi. We'll be back here with the boys wrap up again next Sunday. Have a great week.